Okay, today's guest, author, had an inspirational NDE, but before this, she experienced many setbacks and traumas from her early childhood until her adult life, where she found survival difficult. It wasn't until her life-altering experience that her life shifted into the energy as she was guided. Your life will go in the directions of your thoughts. Let's welcome today's guest, Mindy Speranza. Welcome, Mindy.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. All right. We spoke a little bit before in terms of how we can go through certain setbacks in our lives and we can either become a victim of circumstances or, like your life shifted, maybe in some capacity, into a life of using the victimhood or using the experiences or the
Mhm.
information that you received as an impetus for change in your life. So
Yes.
maybe you can elaborate a little bit on what happened that brought you to this place.
Okay. A lot of victimhood. Could I just say it that way rather than name each thing?
Yeah, I understand. Yes, you don't have
Yeah.
to. Go ahead.
And it brought me to a point that I didn't want to live anymore, but I had two children. And I felt that I would just coast. I would no longer have hopes or wishes or prayers. And since I blamed God for everything, I would no longer allow him in my life. And that was the beginning of it. I walked into my room and I looked up at the ceiling and I said, I don't know what kind of God you are, but I don't want a God like that in my life. I felt that he rewarded people that hurt me. And I said a little more to him about those people, like, really? Those are your favorites? Or, I don't want that. And I decided I'm never going to refer to him again. And really, God was all I had left in my life. And I meant it because I thought he was the culprit, so to speak, that was causing all these things because it happened from birth. So it must be God. It must be a power bigger than me and bigger than everyone because it had a life of its own. If I touched it, it failed. So I thought it was a great idea to shut down. And I went to sleep in that mindset. And I woke up the next morning. I had been working three jobs and one that hadn't paid me in 8 weeks, but it was in a nursing home. And I didn't want to abandon the patients. So I said to myself, I'm going to think of this like a volunteer job so that I don't have to go angry. And of course, I was only angry at God, by the way. So I got up in the morning to make breakfast and I clicked the TV on, turned my back, and I heard, we are body, soul, and spirit. And most people have no power in their life because they don't go deep enough to spirit where all the power is. And my first thought was, is that TV talking to me? Because I already told God I'm done with him. And that kind of sounds like it's godly or something. And, it doesn't work for me. So why is the TV talking to me? But it hit me so hard and overwhelmed me that I sat down and I said, maybe that's my problem. I don't go deep enough to touch spirit where all the power is. Now, I had no idea what that meant,
Right.
but I was going to do it. I decided. But I had to go to work, finish what I was doing. I went to work. And at one point in the nursing home, I remember sitting and closing my eyes like I want to do it right now. The whole time it was on me. I could not shake it. It was a power. Hindsight, when I look back, it was so powerful. It was spirit. And I said, oh, I can't do it now. I don't even know what do it is. But whatever it was, I waited till I got home and probably 10 o'clock at night. And I sat down on my bed and I closed my eyes. And you know where you go when you pray, you go inward. Right now, we are out. I went inward to pray, and I pictured pushing my soul, myself, I thought, in deeper. I really didn't know what I was doing. And I came instantly out of my body.
Wow.
And I felt my soul rise up through the ceiling. And as I rose, my first thought was, it's really up. Everything is up. God, dead people. It's really up. Because, you know, we hear all these things, but we don't know till we experience them, right? Everyone says it's heaven is up, right? How do we know? So that was my first thought. As I left the building and went into the atmosphere, I felt a shift dimensionally. And I was rising higher in the sky. And I felt, oh my God, this is where I'm from. This is my home. I knew that I was one of the stars. I belonged there. I was from there. And telepathically, I heard, he knows every hair on your head, Mindy. And every moment matters. And where it matters is in your soul. And right there, the pain of a lifetime drained from the top of my head to the tip of my toes and filled me from the toes up with what I only could describe as liquid love. And God had healed me. Now, that was basically the only thing he did during that. And he also, he was an overseer of it. I felt him hovering. But the two guides were, I guess, given the assignment. And they were with me the whole time. And I was taken to a place. When I say taken, I was floating with the guides and kind of landed in the atmosphere, kind of floating, and a spot between the moon and the stars, kind of around the moon. Not quite up to it, but around there. And they started teaching me and showing me images and talking to me. And the first thing I was told was, God is the sun, the stars, and the moon. Is the moon mad at you, Mindy? And I understood that God has a lot more to do than be mad at me. Yeah. And God was omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient and omni everything. And really, he only wanted love for me. But until that moment, I didn't understand. And the only question I asked was, what is going on down there? And they said to me, your life will go in the direction of your thoughts. And it can't be based on your circumstances. And it's a good thing they put that hook in, because I had circumstances. Don't we all? And I thought, what if I go back and do it again? Now that I understood what was causing it, or thought I did, they said, you will know by the word. And a silver strobe light came up, and it was alive. And good words came on one side, bad words came on the other side, hundreds and hundreds of words. And they said, good words have good energy and bad words have bad energy. And your life will go in the direction of your thoughts. Okay. Then at one point I looked over. I had an urge to look outward. And I saw that the universe was vast beyond anything we can comprehend. And they said to me, there is no time and no space. And in fact, it is ever increasing. I then saw three Mindys, as in body, soul, and spirit. The flesh Mindy, they didn't address. The middle one, I said it looked like a gingerbread cookie, only because the soft outline, but it was the ethereal body, soft. And the third one was a wind. So the middle one, when I looked at it, I saw a water or liquid up to my ankles. And they said, that is your soul. You are empty to your ankles. Because even though your actions were good, you were filled with fear and resentment. And God will not empower fear, resentment, or any negativity. Wow. And bad thoughts, bad energy will drain your soul, not fill your soul. So you're not going to be filled with a negative soul. You're going to have an empty soul. And it is your responsibility on the earth to fill your soul. And they said, where you place your thoughts is the only meaning of free will on the earth. Wow. Then I saw the wind of Mindy. And they said, that is your spirit. It is one with all. Just like the air doesn't change from Brooklyn to Staten Island, a spirit doesn't change from one to the other. My first thought was, they said Staten Island. I thought it was so weird, like too familial. But they talk to us in our language.
Right, right.
My second thought was, now I know what it means, one with all. It's not your flesh. It's not even your soul. It's your spirit. We are one with all in spirit. Spirit is just pure energy. And we are all one. We mix in that energy. So people do get confused about that. You know, we're all one. Yay, not here. Anyway, then I saw an elderly white man with gray white stubble floating in a hospital bed. And they said to me, when someone suffers at the end of their life, it is not in vain. It is a burning away of karma, but they never used the word karma. But I understood it was a burning away of things. It was almost a way to get a quick promotion on the other side. Yeah. The suffering, you know, and we suffer through our lives sometimes, but they said if you suffer at the end of your life. So, you know, I try to take every single word they said, literal and having meaning. Maybe when we suffer young, we still get a promotion. I don't know. But this is what they told me. And I don't know if I'm forgetting anything else, but I didn't even know how long I was there. You know, when I came back, I said, was I just there 10 minutes or 10 hours? I had no idea. Oh, and they said to me, you are in the Evers. And I remember thinking, that's nice. You know, I didn't ask. Like, that's nice. They want me to know where I am.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't ask, and I didn't even know what that meant. And that was it, most of it. As you asked me questions, I made.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do Akashic record readings, and the information comes from the ether, from the fifth dimension, the space between space.
Yes. And I found out now that that's what it means, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a tangible.
You ever hear Wayne Dyer? You know Wayne Dyer?
Yes, of course.
He said, what if you had a dream that in your dream someone gave you a rose and you woke up holding the rose? You would have crossed dimensions. When I found out what it meant here, I felt like I brought it back.
Right.
That word. Because I didn't have knowledge of it. It was like I brought back a rose from the other side, the Evers. Because why would I use that word?
Right, right. Yeah, but what's interesting is you know, I come face to face with my own suffering, like everyone else does, with my own internal stuff, and my own, you know, my friends, the people I run into, are on a path where eventually, in terms of communicating with me, or at least going through life, people will have experiences where their soul is tested, where they're right. And so And so for you, for example, and many people who I interview, uh, these experiences that a person has, like an outer body experience or a near-death experiences, changes the course of a person's life. It shifts the consciousness. So why do you think um, some people go through this experience to enhance their soul's growth and others don't? Sometimes people commit suicide and they don't heed the message, maybe. Maybe you could elaborate from your own perspective.
You know, the greatest gift God ever gave me and the biggest blessing of my life. I think God had sympathy, and I had such a difficult life. And he just blessed me with the one thing. You know, I never felt my life was balanced or fair, and I still don't. I don't think I understand their meaning of balanced and fair, because if we come here to learn lessons, and I'm learning them for sure, maybe that's balanced and fair from their view.
Right, right,
But when it comes to the near death, and I'll explain why I call it that and not out of body, but when
right.
it comes to the near death, I certainly feel blessed and loved by God. But do I feel it in other areas? No. My life didn't get any easier. My view of it got easier. I took my lessons, my road, my pain in stride after. I knew I had a part in it. You know, they said to me, your life will go in the direction of your thoughts.
Right.
So when I came back, I didn't want to, you know, think the same way, because I don't want to recreate it, right? But I realized I was so toxic, I couldn't think three good thoughts, because all I had was pure fear running through me. So I changed completely. I used to carry a notebook around. I wanted to get up to 100 words. I don't think I ever did, but I had to become so juvenile to say the color white is not bad. Well, they told me there's good and bad and no in between, because I have a lot of friends that try to tell me there's gray areas. I guess in some things, but not according to God. He told me there's good and bad and no in between.
Wow.
So I looked around of what I thought everything was bad in my life, and I was being punished. And I said, the dresser over there is not bad. It must be good. The color purple's not bad. It must be good. TV is not bad. Well, now, but it must be good. And before I knew it, I said, oh my God, I'm surrounded by good. I never saw it before. So did my life change? Absolutely not. I changed. I still have two kids. They're older than me now. I still support them alone. I'm still pissed off about it. I still go, hello, did you forget me? I'm still me,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
know how to think now.
It's interesting.
I don't do what I did.
Yeah,
I don't commit God.
well, I think, you know, as I travel up this path myself, I look and I try to understand it from the perspective of it being a lesson and trying to use each negative encounter or negative experience as a soul growth for myself, so it expands my level of consciousness rather than puts me in that victim mindset, which is so uh, pertinent and of
That
recognizing that. But I think in your case, in listening to your story, you seem to me to be like a lighthouse of information that's supposed to broaden people's horizons who are at the place of not knowing which direction to go in, on the
Thank you,
verge.
because that's who I want to reach. And that's why I do it. There was a time on the other side when they said, go back and tell others. And I thought that was so strange, because I thought they'd say, don't tell others, like keep it a secret. Because it was so odd, you know, to be in outer space. What do you mean tell others? Tell them what?
Yeah.
But it was a direct command. And they showed me two silhouettes of faces looking at each other when they said that. And they also told me to forgive. They gave me two commands: go back and tell others, and forgive people. They were particularly talking about two people that I knew at the time, because they showed me them on the other side.
Right.
And they said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And what they do is to their soul. And then I understood that it's not done here. It continues. Our lessons continue. This is more, this life is more for the other side than for here.
Yeah.
We're just temporarily in school.
Yes.
So those things humbled me and taught me how to think. I'm still not that great at what I call life things, like people who could get wealthy or look great or have the best relationships. I was never great at life, but I got great at spiritual things. And that alone gave me quality of life
Absolutely.
through all the same things, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, people come, we reincarnate, and we
Mhm.
choose our parents, we choose the experiences in order to enhance our soul's expansion and growth, as I've been saying before. And so in each lifetime, we're going to experience the pauper, the rich man, the victim, the empowered. And so each lifetime presents itself with, I think if we take that as a fraction of who we are and use it as a lesson for us to just keep in mind that we need to walk the line using that as our navigation, then I think we find ourselves in a better place. I think when we surround ourselves with people who are in a material sense, in a material world, in a sense of thriving to just outdo the next person on the physical world, we lose
Mhm.
track of the spiritual journey and the soul's journey of what we're supposed to do and go inward. And I think so many people feel lonely doing that. But as from your experience, you've reaped some of the benefits and the riches of that experience.
Well, I say those people are better at life, you know, whatever that's worth. They know how to work life
Yeah,
more
but
than
if but
spirituality.
if but if but if life is a school, and a person looks at the neighbor's paper for the answers to the test, they're not truly passing the test. They're getting the answers from someone else. So,
How do we know that?
that's true.
I don't judge them. I
Yeah, no,
stay
no,
on.
I'm not. That's true. That's true. You can't
I
judge.
don't know. Is there value also at being good at life? There might be, you know, I don't know, because we all are so different. But I know that I take my road more humbly now and say, oh, well, that's mine to deal with.
Right.
But I see successful people as better at life. Now, not if they're miserable, you
Yeah.
know, if they have other happinesses.
Right. But there's people who reincarnate and have been on this earth for a longer period of time, who've had a deeper experience of how to work in this
Yes.
energy. And if you come from a different universe or a different group of entities, so to speak, then a person would have a more challenging time acclimating themselves to the dynamics of being on the earthly plane in this school.
Yeah, but being good at life is not bad, and being bad at life is not good. There's good and bad in both ways, and we're all going to have parts of it within us,
Right. But your
right?
message teaches the people who are having a difficult time in life
Yeah.
that there's hope and there's faith.
Well, there's purpose for sure. There
Absolutely.
is hope
Right.
and there's purpose in it, but it's up to us to figure that out and to navigate. I didn't figure it all out yet. I want to get good at life. I think I don't got enough years left to do that.
How did you always feel spiritual in some way?
I think so. I think I was always spiritual, but I was more confused than spiritual. I felt an attachment to spirit. Oh, my mother was a medium. She used to go, Aunt Betty just walked down the hall. I used to go, what? She's dead 10 years. No,
Wow.
she's in the hall. You know, so this was a constant to terrify me in my house when I was a kid. And we had the alarm, the rating, you know, when they used to have an alarm that a bomb is going to go off, they had
Y-
those poles.
Yes,
And
yes.
the bomb would go off, and my sisters would go, the aliens are here. You know, so I was constantly, but I was always aware that there
Right.
was more. Yes, but that's about it.
You know, from your background and from other people's backgrounds, I guess the issue of trust plays into the
I didn't trust God.
say it again?
I don't know if I trust him now. I'd fight with him still. I'm like, hello. I want to trust him. I know he loves me. I allow myself an indulgence, when I don't truly get it, because I always think, and I thought then, that I'm working really hard at my lessons, and I am, and it's difficult. Imagine trying to grow like spiritually on purpose. It's hard.
Yep.
You got to examine every thought you have, every move you make. Where is it coming from? Is it the right thing? And then I don't see results. It's still frustrating.
I understand.
But I don't know the reasons. I don't have resentment. I don't have anger, because I know it will make it worse. So I won't do it. And when I do things like this, I'm reminded of how blessed I am for the knowledge. Knowledge changed everything.
Absolutely.
So did I get many gifts? I got that, the gift of knowledge that there's more going on, and I'm a part of it. I'm not a victim. I'm
Right.
not a victim in any area anymore, thank God.
Yeah. So
Literally.
so many people who are thriving, once stress hits, they revert back to victimization or victimhood of how could this happen to me, and they become more fragile
Yeah.
and more materialism, the outside world, the cars, the houses, the external appearance, that, I mean, we all need that as a buffer in order to, socialize, to fit in, and to be amongst people. You wrote a book, and maybe
Yeah.
you could just share with the audience how that came about, because I find it very interesting.
Well, I had no peace because they said go back and tell others. Now they told me to tell them face to face, but they wanted me to write a book. And I had no interest in writing a book, never did a book, never thought about a book, still don't really care about a book. But in my stomach, in my soul, I had no peace. So I told my story on a show on Blog Talk Radio. And on Blog Talk Radio, they could type while you're talking. And somebody typed, "Do you have a book?" And I said, "No." And she said, "I can help you." So I said, okay. I knew what they had been telling me to do. So she said, "I'll record you. We'll talk once a week or twice a week. I don't remember. And you'll pay me, it was like 500 a month. And I'll turn it into a book." I said, okay. So for about 4.5 months, we talked once or twice a week. Sometimes she'd disappear for 2 weeks. And I kept mailing the money. Now, don't forget, I was still struggling. I didn't come back with a magic wand. I had the same exact life. And in about 4.5 months in, 5 months, I said, she's never writing this book. Sometimes she sounded drunk on the phone. And I said, I'm done. I'm done. You want it? You do it. To the guides. You want the book? I don't care about the book. You write it. So I went to work that day, and I'm a hairdresser. They gave me a Groupon to do her hair. And she seemed very upset. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Oh, I'm a real estate agent and I'm very nervous. I'm selling my father-in-law's house, and I think the people are backing out. And I'm nervous. They're going to be mad at me." And I was like, oh, this poor woman. Like, what are they going to do to her? She was like scared. So I said, "Well, did you do the best you could?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that's all you can do." I go, "You know what happened to me? I had a near-death experience." And a woman said she would write a book for me, and I'm sending her money for all these months. She's never going to write the book. I go, "Just this morning, it hit me. She's not writing that book. I'm done." And the woman said, "I'll do it for you. It's my dream to write a book."
Wow.
And I knew the guy. You see, they love to do what they want. They always do that in my life. And she did it. I said, "I'm not paying you. I'll give you 20%. I didn't even know what any of that meant, truthfully.
Right.
And we met once a week in Starbucks in Barnes and Noble. And I talked and she typed. And anything she tried to do to change it, I did not allow it, because I wanted it to be like we're talking now, simple, every day. They talk to me like that on the other side, you know? I wanted it to be that. She kept it that way. And then at the end, we went upstairs where the books were to publish it, to learn how to publish a book. And she was very excited. She said, "You're in New York, it should be easy." We couldn't get it done. She sent out about 5 manuscripts. She called publishers. Nobody would talk to us. They said, if you don't have an agent, I didn't even know the world of publishing. And
Right,
again,
right.
I didn't care. So she said, "Here's your manuscript. I'm out." Okay. So I took home a manila envelope with a manuscript, and it sat in my house for about a year. And I didn't care. They still bugged me about it, but I would just say, "You do it." And one day I was on the phone with a friend of mine and I said, I have this manuscript in my house. I mean, they were still bothering me. When I say bad stress, it would come to mind constantly. Do it, do it, do it. So I said, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to navigate the internet. I don't know how to turn this into a book. And she said, "Let me come over and look at it." She was just one of my close friends. She didn't know anything, And I said, I found this site, Create Space. She said, "Let me see it." She looked, she goes, "Oh, look, there's a phone number." I said, "Oh." We called the phone number and they walked me through. Now, another interesting part is I wanted to name the book, "Your Life Will Go in the Direction of Your Thoughts, and it can't be based on your circumstances," because that was so important to me. And again, it wasn't mine, it was theirs, and they said it. So I wanted a direct quote.
Right.
And they had also said, "Every moment matters." I thought of naming it that also. And they said, "And where it matters is in your soul." Like, this was important information I wanted the people to get. So each thing you have to pay for and you have to okay it. The cover, the font, whatever, the color, the shine. So I got a cover, "Your Life Will Go," and it was in script, and I had the background, and I loved it. And I finally okayed it, and I paid, and I sat on my bed, I opened my laptop, and I heard, "Change the name of the book."
Wow.
And I said, "Why I got to change the name of the book?" And they said, "We want the word heaven in it." And I said, "But I wasn't in heaven. You told me I was in the others." And they said, "Look it up." And that really scared me. Because when I looked it up and it said the 5th dimension of heaven, I mean, I said, "Okay, you win."
Wow.
And I just changed it to "Visit to Heaven."
Let me just cut you. Let me just ask you a question. When
Mhm.
you say the guides that were talking to you, people hear this in many interviews amongst people who are contacted by masters and guides. What was the voice? Was it a woman's voice? Was it a group of people? Was it?
No, I always felt it was male for this assignment. I always felt they were sent for this assignment. And it was not my thoughts. I knew they weren't mine, but it wasn't a voice at all.
Imagery?
It was
Any
just
images?
information put in my head and pressure in my stomach, sort of, in
Wow.
my soul at the same time, information and pressure.
And what happens if you didn't listen to the information?
I don't know. I never didn't listen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what
It's too
so interesting.
powerful.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
When I first came back for about a year, it was very extreme,
Right.
the contact. And I would put on a spiritual show because that's all I cared about after that. And I would sit down like I'm sitting now to do my makeup to go to work. And something would come over me, a word or something maybe triggered by the show. and I would feel inside. So, you know, when you're sentimental,
Yeah.
times a billion. Like, and I would feel an energy come like up through me, and I would start crying. And my crying was, I'm so sorry that I blamed God
Uh-huh. Wow.
and his love, and he was still healing me. And that happened about every day for a year. Imagine having to go on with the same life because nothing else changed, but in this state of mind. And they told me to tell others, and I want to share it with others. And now everyone thinks I'm crazy, and I'm losing, well, they might have thought that anyway, but I'm losing my friends. I don't feel connected to anything that I was. And I want to work on my 100 good words. Like my mind is just totally on something different. And so I felt now, after a few months of that, 5, 6 months, that I want to be normal again. I don't want this. I don't know what to do with it. And then I found the near death group on Facebook. Now, Facebook was very new 10 years ago, pretty
Right.
new. I wasn't really on it. The kids were on, you know? And I saw there was thousands of people. Maybe when I joined, there was 100 people, not even on Ned's site. You know, it was new, brand new. Maybe there was 27 people.
Wow.
And I said, oh, this happened to others. And everybody talked about things that I now understood. It saved my life. I always say that because I was losing my mind. I was not in this world anymore. And that's why I call it a near death,
Right.
because I went where you go when you die, right? In the others, I
Yes.
guess, on the way
Yes.
up, I don't know. And I came back different, forever changed.
Amazing.
So that girl died, or most of her. And I didn't relate to the outline or the description of out of body, because what I read was, I didn't know what it was called, but when I read all the things, the out of body kind of stayed in this atmosphere a little. Like, you know, you hover over your body having surgery,
Right.
you see the doctor, and you go back. They didn't always go into the others and have guides and completely change who they are. And so that was the only thing that fit me. And I always thought, what if I didn't come back? That body would have been dead. And I wouldn't have cared,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? So
You didn't hear the words "go back" at all, did you? Did anybody? You didn't. Okay.
when I thought, what if I go back and do it again? I had like a little glimpse of my 2 kids. And at that minute, I knew I would be going back. But nobody told me to, because my question was about what if I go back?
Right.
So it kind of, then I felt that feeling. They brought me there for teachings in
Yeah.
their kindness to me. That's
So
what I feel like. They were trying to help me.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many people go through a spiritual awakening. Either it's a near-death experience, an out-of-body experience, a trauma, some type of event that shifts a person's consciousness. And for the most part, many of the people have a hard time assimilating back into
Ooh.
their atmosphere, their culture of the people they're around, surrounded by. Uh, I know that from my experience as well, through certain things that I experienced. So I understand that concept. Um, in terms
Do you
of,
want to? We don't want to. Do you want to assimilate now? Now I want to be back like flying.
I know that my spiritual journey means more to me than anything else.
That's right. Me
It,
too.
it, it gives me a sense of depth, and it gives me a sense of expansion that nothing else can satisfy. But it's difficult to assimilate with everyone else at different
So
moments.
different. But life wouldn't make sense anymore. It didn't make sense before,
Right. So there
but
you
it
go.
makes more sense with it.
Right. So if you had to leave like a message about, like, a message to the audience, or to the people listening, about life itself, of what an inspirational message, what would you say?
You're on a spiritual journey, and every moment matters. And this is school. And if we can take it in stride and say, you know what? You got your bag, I got mine. You have your road, I have mine. it lowers it to say, okay. And the next step is the next step on our road. Just keep doing another step, another step. I have no magic wand, but I have understanding that there's a purpose to all of this. And I want to do the right thing and do good in this life. I want to, without an outcome, because I don't seem to get outcomes. Without an outcome, I just want to do what I came here to do. And I'm trying every day. And it's not easy.
Well, I honor you for your path and your journey because it's inspirational to me, and I know it's inspirational to many other people. And I think the ability for you to pass on the information and to share with people what you've experienced is a godsend because so many people could hear somebody speak, but when they hear somebody authentic and somebody talking from from their own personal, it's inspiring. So I want to thank you, Mindy, for joining me today.
Thank you.
If anybody wanted to reach out to you, do you want any contact or?
I have like 5 or 6 or 7 videos now. They can, because like I told you, how long did it take you? You were pretty quick. I have people 1.5 years trying to get me on this show.
Oh my God. All right.
I work full time.
Well, if you're from the 5 boroughs, it doesn't hurt.
No, that helped you. That's why I said.
No, I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
I know.
Of course.
Well,
but no, I wouldn't reach out to me. I would get the book, I would listen to the videos, and I'd get on their path. Because, I talk to about 10, 12 women a day, every day, as a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. If somebody wanted to purchase your book, where can they get that?
It's on Amazon. It's called Visit to Heaven, What I Learned on the Other Side. I don't have a copy because I'm not at home right now.
I'll put it up.
But it has the what's the one that you can listen? No, not listen. You can read it on your Kindle.
Audio book, maybe an audio book and the Kindle.
Not audio, but the Kindle.
Okay.
And the soft cover. And it's not expensive. They give you an option of what to charge. I picked the lowest one, and everybody should be able to get it and read it very easily if they choose.
Absolutely. So I'll put that in the description so people have an opportunity to share in your story. So thank you so much again.
Thank you. That was very nice.
And I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.